Okay, it is 3:35. Call the meeting to order. I will start off by reading the checklist. A checklist to ensure meetings are compliant with the right to know law during the state of emergency. As chairman of the Sanborn Regional School Board's Finance Subcommittee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which is authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Sanborn Regional School Board's Finance Subcommittee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-646-558-8656. The meeting ID is 985-7216-4622, or by clicking on the following website address as can be found on the SAU website. YouTube, it's www.youtube.com/C/SRSD meeting videos, one word. Subsection B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the Sanborn Regional School District at www.sau17.net. Item C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 978-482-7394 or email at helpdesk@sau17.net. Item D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by a roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So let me start with Jim.
Yep, Jim Baker in a room in my house, and I'm alone.
Matt.
I'm Matt Angel. I'm at my office at the SAU office, and I'm alone.
Jamie Fitzpatrick. I am in my office at home. I am alone, and I have upgraded my audio visuals from the last meeting so that we do not have that problem again this time. Why don't we start the meeting with a pledge, and then we'll go right into the agenda. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's so much easier to get that in sync when we're all actually in the same room.
Yes.
And when we had the students leading us, that worked well too. Okay, so I don't know, Jim, if you've had a chance to review the minutes from October 14th.
Yes, I have.
Let me just note first that Pete Broderick had informed us that he may be late to the meeting if he can attend at all. So the people are aware if he does attend, we will ask him for his location. So Jim, if you've read those, if I could get a motion to accept the minutes.
Yep, motion to approve the minutes.
Second that motion. Roll call vote. Jim?
Yes.
Myself, yes. So that is a unanimous of the two of us. So the minutes are adopted. New business, COVID money for the state. Matt, this one's really about, there was some articles in the papers recently, particularly as regards a $200 per student grant available. Have you been able to find any information out about this?
Yeah, so we got contacted by the state, and they did a webinar last, I believe it was either Thursday or Friday. We're going to get if you take the 200,000, I'm sorry, the $200 per student. Now this is just students that are in Kingston and Newton. It doesn't include Fremont. We're going to receive $265,400. And the next caveat, which is really what my focus is going to be tomorrow, is if we spend that $265,000 fully, then there's a $10 million contingency fund that opens up for us, and we can use it for larger projects. And so we're going to go for a really large project and see if we can get a new heating and cooling system for one of the schools. And now,
So this-
excuse me.
it's a competitive pool of money, okay?
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it sound like it's a slam dunk. We have to have anything that we build or buy has to be in service by December 30th. So it's going to be one big giant rat race for us to, number one, get the money, and number two, to get the item in service.
And this is a grant?
Yeah. So basically what happened is the federal government gave a big pile of money to the state, and the state doled it out, some of it to hospitals, some of it to schools, some of it to municipalities. And so they had $35 million, and I believe that's the correct amount, left over. And now they're just doling it out based upon need. So the town's got a little bit, schools got some. I'm not sure about the hospitals, but that's what it is.
Jim, questions?
Yeah. So we have to spend the 265,400 or have it, I assume, encumbered, right?
It has to be spent. Okay. And that's not a problem, because we get to realign some of our grants that we currently have outstanding. So I can move all the Chromebooks, all the teachers, new laptops, all the PPE that I've been purchasing, all that stuff that we already have. I can exceed that 265.
So it's already been spent effectively.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Does it have to be new spend, or can it be spend that we've already done?
Yeah, I think it's after March. There's a date in March, and if you look at a lot of our purchases, everything occurred in July or after. So it's going to be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's good.
Again,
Go ahead, Jim.
yeah. So what's the deadline for getting our application in for that additional money?
We had an architect look at the building this morning, so I'm going to try to contact them tomorrow. For us to get this thing done, I need to have it in their hands by Friday, and then moving on Monday. So I'm hoping to have a really quick decision.
So
And
let
of
me,
course,
go
any
ahead.
decision that we make has to go before the school board, because it's a grant. It's any grant that we receive that's unanticipated has to be approved by the school board.
So my question would be, if we go ahead and we say we're going to petition this and we win the grant, we get the money, and then we're not able to deliver on 12/31, what happens?
Then we would have to pay for a large portion of that project. So there is some time risk in this.
Is prepaying allowed under the rules?
It is not. It's very, very specific that it has to be in service. So, I guess it begs the question of, what does in service mean? So we may be able to get a portion of it running in service, and then pick off pieces of it. But
So we could theoretically approve the project. The money has to be spent. The equipment and everything installed, and we might not get the reimbursement.
Well, there's more to come. Okay. So right now we're excited about the overall project, or the opportunity that it affords. We do have to look at the timeline, being realistic.
Mhm.
Okay. And of course, it's going to be like a performance project. It has to be done by that date.
But you also said it's competitive.
Yeah, so I'm going to be competing against other schools for the same pool of money. So it's not just 10 million just for each school, it's 10 million for all schools within the state.
So if other schools went out over us, even though we've met the deadline, we still might not get the money, right?
That's right. But I'm going to give it a try.
Okay.
Do they award grant prior to commitments being made, or do they award grant when they want to, regardless of when your commitments have been made?
So they're awarding the grant both before and after the commitment is made. Okay. So say, for example, we purchased those Chromebooks back in July. Those are going to be eligible under the grant. Now just remember too, this is money that the state received during the summer. So they've been holding on to it until just now.
So we're talking about the 265,000 right now, right?
Yeah, and the 10 million.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, I think it's like just over $1 billion that was allotted to the state, and the state doled that money out. There just is like $35 million left, and they have until December 30th to spend it, or they have to return it to the feds. So for me, it's an opportunity, and I'm going to pursue this as best I can. Obviously, knowing that there's a time problem, that it has to be in service by December 30th.
Yeah, we just need to be very careful that we don't end up putting ourselves in a risk position of trying to get, they say there's no such thing as a free lunch, trying to get a free lunch and then winding up with a bill at the end of the dinner.
Yeah, that's right. But of course, this has to go before the school board.
Yep.
So I have to sell it to the whole panel.
So let's look into it and find out what the options are, and what we think that we can bite off and chew and swallow before it's over, and
Yeah.
if we can get money that we can properly process and get installed, that's a good thing. We just don't want to be on the wrong side of that equation.
Yep.
Follow-up question.
Go ahead, Jim.
On that chart that you included in the docs, under the New Hampshire Department of Ed, where they list each school and the enrollments.
Yep.
Sanborn's listed as 1,327 students, and you said that doesn't include Fremont. So how does that work as far as their students and getting reimbursed for under that $200 a student?
So basically, the way that the state calculated it this time is based upon the sending district's enrollments. Okay, so Fremont School District sends their kids to Sanborn Regional. So their numbers are not, or their student count is not included in our allotment. Okay, so and basically, I'm trying to look for the shared. Let me move this thing around. Let me see if I can share my screen so that the general public can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, if you can. And a question along that line is, if in fact we can't count Sanborn at the high school level, or Fremont at the high school level, let's make sure that Fremont is aware that they should probably be entitled to something for the L school level, so that they make sure they get in on this.
I've already spoken with the business administrator at Fremont about this.
Okay, good.
So the idea is if Sanborn wants some of that revenue, we need to go and negotiate with Fremont. And I have reached out to Fremont because my quick math comes up with another $41,000 based upon the state's formula. Okay. And of course I can consume that, and I'm sure Fremont can consume that as well. All right. So there's no decision yet. Honestly, I haven't heard back from them. So I'll keep you informed on that. But anyways,
I think you're right though, that they can spend it themselves, and that's likely where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the money that we spent for all that PPE also went to Fremont students.
I did.
That's correct. That is correct. And that's the argument that I'm using
Yeah,
when requesting those funds.
great.
All right, so if you look at your screen, this is the allocation. Just it's one of the pages of the allocation that Jim Baker spoke about. And near the top there, you can see Sanborn Regional. It has 1,327 students. We have over 1,500 students in the district. That includes the Fremont schools, the children from Fremont. And so based upon our enrollment, our students from Newton and Kingston, we're going to get $265,400. Okay.
This is good. It's also good that the formulation allows us to use it for items that we already went long on.
Yeah. And I don't think I was clear when I was saying that we're moving some of the grants around. Remember, we have to have a lot of this stuff in place by December 30th. So there's really no incentive for us to try to buy Chromebooks that we already have. We can move those Chromebooks that we had on another grant to this grant. And then that other grant that we had expires at the end of, I think it's May or June of next year. So we have all next spring to spend that money as well.
Great.
Yeah, great idea, Matt.
Okay.
Do you recall, Matt, off the top of your head, how much that one was?
117,000.
Okay.
Actually, that was a strategy that was sent out by the state. So we're going to employ it.
This is great news.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing this.
Yep. Jim, any other questions on that item?
No, thank you. That's great.
Next on was the budget adjustment.
Yeah.
So Matt, you're looking to just shift from out-of-state summer tuition to other professional services for the same services or just falling in a different bucket. Is that the proper understanding?
Yeah. So basically we have an employee who's going out on maternity leave and we need to hire a particular service, I think it's a speech pathologist and to cover their position while they're out on leave.
So that amount will cover the entire leave?
Yes.
So you need a motion to accept that?
Correct.
Okay, I move that we accept that line item adjustment.
Yeah, I second that. Let me see if I can't share that so people can see what it is and see the dollar values. It's $45,678.07. So roll call vote, Jim?
Yep. Okay. Yes.
And myself is yes. So the budget adjustment is approved.
Thank you. The Zoom call is really great with showing information to the general public. I really like this.
Yeah, once I figure out how to get the sharing up and done, it works much better. So the trust and revolving funds, Matt, I'll try and share that also.
Sure.
Maybe I won't. There it is.
If not, I have it up.
Let's see. Let me know if you can see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I have this. If you go down to the bottom of the screen, there's, yeah, right there, there's a, oh, that's perfect.
Okay, if you could go ahead and step us through.
All right, so again, these are the numbers from September. I haven't received the information yet for October. So a lot of this is a repeat from some of the other committee meetings that we've had. So the Special Education Expendable Trust Fund, year to date as of September 30th of 2020, we have a balance of $241,148.47. The Capital Improvement and Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund, it's a little farther down on your screen. That has a balance of $223,012.72. And for the general public, it's the middle column that I'm reading from.
Yep, year to date right here.
Yep. And then on
So
the
really
next,
no change but interest. And then the
Right.
deposit of the 50,000 from the warrant.
correct. And similar to that is the Unanticipated Educational Expenses Capital Reserve Fund. And the balance as of September 30th is $150,183.39. And like Jamie did before, it's interest of almost $40, and $75,000 was added to the fund that was approved at the last district meeting. If we move down to the bottom, and this is the Facility Use Revolving Fund. And again, as of September 30th, 2020, the ending balance is $159,054.47. What's going into that fund is SLC's rent for the old middle school. And for the first 3 months of the year, our fiscal year, we've received just over $35,000, $35,001.
Very good. Looking good.
Okay, and this is the one that I think shows up elsewhere on the agenda in terms of bridging it from the 2+ down to the 159. I don't know if you had a chance to do that or not, Matt.
No, I have not had a chance to do that. So
Okay.
I'll go over all those items.
Okay, as we hit them.
Yep.
Okay, let me jump back. So budget reports.
Yeah. So did you want to put that up on the screen, or do you want me to do it?
I'm working on it. Let me
And
know if
then
it comes
this one,
in.
you're going to do, okay, the monthly health insurance. All right. So so it's kind of fun to have someone else pull it up on the screen so I can actually change up my narrative. So basically, for the general public, we have to combine all the health insurance money into one particular line item so that it's not, you don't necessarily see the, we could have a HIPAA violation if we reported it in detail. So basically, through the end of October, we've expended $1,090,683 towards health insurance. Now, this is all health insurance for every employee in the district that's eligible for health insurance. For the remainder of the year, we've encumbered $3,151,169, leaving a remaining balance of $713,350.
And just so, again, so people are aware, that encumbered amount is what's the anticipated payments that we're going to need for the balance of the year based upon where people are currently enrolled to carry us through the balance of the year. And then the remaining 713 is available should some of those shifts occur in terms of coverages, like people go from single to family or what have you. That's where that money would come out of the amount remaining.
Okay.
Anything else on that one before I grab the next one, Matt?
Nope.
Okay. Let me jump back down.
This one I usually go right to the end.
Wait to the, what do you mean?
Bottom line.
The last page.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so this one here is all the other expenditures in the district. I'm sorry, in the general fund. It's not just the district. The general fund being the operating fund where all the tax revenue goes into and is spent out of. Okay. So through the end of October, we have spent $8,817,920.72. We've encumbered $18,463,254.43. So that means that we have remaining is $2,975,458.26. And I want to see what that is on. I wish it had a little percentage at the end.
Oh yeah, it would be easier. Is that what you're running now?
Yeah, it's 9.8%. That's unobligated at this point in time. Now, I just want to let everyone know that we don't obligate all of our funds in the fall. It usually gets brought down to what we're going to actually spend by March and April. So there's more time to, right now, there's more time to actually encumber funds. And you will see that remaining amount decline throughout the year.
Matt, Jamie, is there a way to move this accounting to the left side of the screen so you can see the remaining balance?
So Jamie, on your screen, your Zoom call's on our screen. So you just take your Zoom call and drag it off. Oh, I see.
Call. It's not on my screen.
Oh, it's not?
No.
It's on mine. Oh, then Jim, grab the top of your Zoom call and move it. You can move it around.
Move the pictures around?
Yeah, I just closed it with
I
the little
okay, I just
underline.
moved them down. Yeah.
Can you get it now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
So what will the public see?
They won't see the pictures, will they?
I'm not sure. I think the only way I can do it is to pull up a YouTube link.
That's why I was wondering if they were seeing what I was seeing or something else.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It looks like they're seeing the full screen.
Okay,
and,
great.
And that whoever's talking is in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for confirming that. That was a good point, Jim. Kind of pointless if they can't see what we're talking about. Makes it more difficult. Okay, so there's still roughly 3 million that is available to the budget, and historically that ends up getting consumed and drawn down during the course of the spring until we're in the late spring, as Matt has identified, and then we start really firming up where we're going to end the year.
Yeah, and then any unspent funds essentially gets returned back to the taxpayers in a reduction to the tax rate next year. That's how it works.
Correct. Yep. And that would be for, again, for people's education or understanding. Last year, we were able to undo some encumbrances, and the end number of what went back to the taxpayers is $2.3 million. And that still allowed us to hold the legal amount of, I think, 565 or something in that area.
That sounds right.
Yeah. For in case of emergency type activity. So,
yeah.
All right, let's go to the revenue. Let me grab that one. All right, Matt.
Yeah, the revenues are boring. So again, this is through October.
I'm not seeing the revenue, Jamie.
You're not? Okay.
No.
Try it again. Thank you.
Yep. There we go.
Okay, so basically what we do for the taxation is we record a receivable at the beginning of the year. So it looks like we received 100% because basically we're going to get the funds. Okay. And it's, we're doing it this way so that the amount remaining column is going to be exactly where we think it's going to land, or try to be as accurate as possible for a year-end number, so that when Jamie wants to figure out what's going to be available to reduce the tax rate, he can just take the amount remaining plus the amount remaining on the expenditure reports, and that should get really close to where we what we return back to the taxpayers. So here, I'm showing that we've received, or we recorded in revenue, 27,690,000. So a majority of that is taxation. And by the way, your tax rate is for Kingston is almost going to be set soon. Newton, I think it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be out a little further. But let's see, the tuition for Fremont right now shows no revenue. Basically, we started sending invoices for that just recently. So we'll start seeing revenue coming in from Fremont. Let's see, other local revenue, the 373,000. We brought that up last time. That was a, well, yeah, that was a return of health insurance premiums. And so that gets recorded as a revenue in the following year because it was expenditure in the prior year. Let's see, we've received $672,746 in adequacy aid. I believe another payment has come in. So we're anticipating, as of the end of October, we're anticipating $2,690,000 to come in for adequacy ed. Let's see. I'm going to jump down to the school building aid. So school building aid is what the state is paying. They pay a portion of our debt service, and it's based upon an amortization schedule. And you'll see this number decline year after year after year. So I believe next year it's going to be under 500,000. So this year we're going to receive $513,515 from the state. So far we've received a half of that. We haven't received any catastrophic aid. We received a little portion of Medicare, $3,983. So we are going after Medicare, and basically what we're trying to do is change up how we're doing our, trying to recapture a lot of the costs that are associated with buying. Basically what this is, if we have to buy a medical device for a child, then we're seeking reimbursement through Medicare. And Medicare put in some rules that made it more difficult for us to seek reimbursement. In years past, this could have been like $200,000. It's now $4,000. The use of fund balance right now is showing $525,000. We haven't updated that yet to reflect the 2.3 million. That was just, so basically the budget numbers are going to get redone when the state sets the tax rate. So that's going to solidify the amount of money that we're going to receive from the sending towns, and also the use of fund balance. Okay.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Jim.
Where it says other local revenue, 373,688.19. Under that, it says other local revenue insurance proceeds. And I heard what you said about the insurance proceeds. Is that 373K also insurance or something else?
No, it's also insurance.
Okay.
I believe the $1,400 related to we had an automobile accident where someone ran into school property. I think the $1,400 related to that.
Oh, property damage of some kind?
Yes, we had to pay for the property damage and then seek reimbursement, which they paid us right away.
I see.
The $373,000 relates to health insurance.
Okay.
So because of COVID, a lot of people didn't go to the doctor's office, which created this enormous surplus in the health insurance. We're all the municipalities in New Hampshire are trying to pool their funds together. So essentially our health insurance is almost self-funded. So we get to participate in what's not spent. Does that make sense?
Yep. Kind of like a co-op. Kind of like a co-op.
Yes, it's just like a co-op.
Just kind of bizarre that in the midst of a pandemic with all kinds of health issues all over the place, that there's excess premium money because they had to shut down hospitals.
Yeah, they couldn't schedule and people were afraid to go in for these other surgeries and
Yep.
treatments.
Strange times indeed.
Mhm.
Okay, let me jump back. So one of the items, I think we mentioned it briefly, but Matt, on the reconciliation of the revolving fund, just for people's reminder, last time we talked, we had previously said in September that we expected this to be in the 212 range. And then but we were using a May jump off point, and now we're in September and we're seeing 159. And what we had asked is, can we have that reconciled publicly so that we can see what those differences are?
Yeah, and now that the budget's done, I can circle back to definitely do that.
So I'll leave that on for next meeting, Matt.
Yeah. Do you want me to just kind of go down through these and tell you where the status?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the Medicare reimbursement status, I just gave you a quick update on that. I think it would be beneficial if we just keep that on as an open item, and then I can keep you up to date with any changes that occur within the month. Fair?
That works. Yep.
Okay. Audit follow-up.
Just for clarification for people at home also. So when Matt says we just talked about that, there's now $4,000 in the unplanned revenue number that wasn't there last month because Matt did some work trying to chase down and see what he couldn't free up, because this had been targeted by him previously, that we used to get significant money out of this. And with the change in some of the rules, it has withered away and he's trying to bring it back to life.
Okay, so back to this audit follow-up items, student cash reconciliation. I think basically what it is the auditors identified a problem with how the student activity funds are reconciled. Those are I have to wrap my head around it a little more, and we definitely have to clean any of these issues up before we move to a new system. So that's going to be an open item. Opportunities for improvement report from auditors. I have not received anything like that. I will mention that to them. Actually, next week, I'm hoping to find some time to knock out another audit report for the district. And that would be a good opportunity for me to talk to them about that. The status of the hockey boosters.
If I could jump in for just a second. On the audit reports, when they had indicated an interest in presenting to the board, when were you thinking on timing for that?
I really want to be done with the next one by December. It should be easy because the first year was okay. Normally what happens in New Hampshire and Massachusetts is the auditors pull together the financial statements. But for me, it was just easier for me to do it for them. And so now that we've kind of hammered out the style, it's easy for me to replicate it for them next year, which it only takes me a couple of hours.
So do we get a discount on what they charge us?
No, it's actually harder.
For that?
Yeah, I mean, my point for asking them that one is if they're going to be coming in and talking to us and they haven't given it to you, it's an opportunity to saying the board wants to hear what your areas of improvement that you found were, what you present.
Yes, and honestly, I would want I'd want them to say something to show areas of improvement. I mean, I'd come up with a list of stuff where we need to improve upon anyways, just from being here. But it's nice to get that knowledge from an independent source.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my thought. It's always good to have eyes that aren't absorbed in it on a day-to-day basis, taking a look, see, because they often pick up things that we don't otherwise notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see, FY20 status of reimbursement from the hockey boosters. I've sent the question out. I just need to do a follow-up just to make sure that it was paid and received. And I'm fairly certain that it was, but I want to make sure that I want to double check before I report back to this committee. The final spending spreadsheet. I did a year-end spreadsheet for the school board to show my estimate for fund balance, and the committee wants to review that with the final year-end numbers to see how close we were and to do follow-up questions on that. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so that was one of my requests coming out of the last meeting also, is when we put that together, we had estimates that we used. We finalized on the bottom line number, but I'd just like to be able to publicly acknowledge what we ended up with on the in-between lines in terms of what the final spending was, and we can see how that looked versus what our estimates were going in.
Yep. The reorganization cost spreadsheet. Now, this is the cost to transition the middle school to the high school, and also to reorganize the 2 elementary schools. In months past, I had an estimated cost spreadsheet. What the committee's asked for is a more of a budget versus actual kind of presentation. I honestly haven't had a chance to steer towards that, but that's definitely one of those little great projects to do coming up, because I think it would be, there's some items that we went over, and there's some that we definitely were under. And I think what we could do is we can probably merge the final spending spreadsheet and the reorganization costs together, so we can present that all as one item.
Yeah, that makes sense to me also. And again, my interest is in being to be able to publicly demonstrate that this is where we were, this is where we're off, this is where we chose to spend more money, but we made up for that spending elsewhere rather than making additive spending. It was, for lack of a better word, relocated spending, and still staying within the estimates that we put together. We've gone through an awful lot in a year and a half with the reorganization and others. Having these in hand will also, at least in my mind, if not the other members of the committee and the members of the BudCom, will also go towards helping as we review the budget over the next month or so, and helping framing ideas, questions, and focusing as to what did we get through and where did we spend. So it'd be helpful in that time frame.
Okay. The COVID spending spreadsheet. Now, this is I'm keeping a running tally of what costs that we're incurring related to COVID. This is just for this particular fiscal year. I have one for the prior fiscal year that I pulled together, which is more like a budget, because before the state received an allocation, they asked us for just a rough idea of how much money we're spending, and I was including items in there that of lost service. Okay. So, for example, on the bottom of this one, if you go to the third number up from the bottom, you'll see student transportation. It's a value. We paid so far this year $156,000, and we didn't receive the service, but we still had to pay the bus company.
Right.
Okay. So, unfortunately, that $156,000 I can't tack on to that new grant. Okay, but all the rest of the items on this list I can definitely tack on to that grant. Now, what purchases we've done after I created this list, we just bought another 50 cases of wipes. We've actually gone through 17 cases of it already in the first 2 weeks of school. So it seems like we're going through sanitizer wipes. They're like Clorox wipes, but they're a commercial version. And that the student desks are wiped down before or during each class change.
Yeah, I think, and one of the reasons of wanting to have this available is, one is it helps us understand what our costs are associated with COVID, but two is it's front and center. And then opportunities like this just happen with the state, and we've got information readily available and know where to look for it. Yep. So it's helpful to just understand just exactly what the costs are. And I completely agree, Matt, that the payment for services not rendered that we're still due is absolutely a COVID cost.
Yeah.
Jim, any comments or questions on the sheet?
Yeah, on those wipes, Matt, we got 24 boxes for $2,858, and then a little more than twice that money for 5 times or 4.5 times the cost. Why is that?
Because, okay, the 50 case one.
Yeah,
So basically what it is the units are larger.
the actual wipes are larger.
No, the number of wipes in the unit.
Yeah, I see that, but it's instead of 24 boxes, so 50 cases has more, not more than 2.5 times the wipes at a 20 case.
Yeah, let me do the math really quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's almost double the quantity per box. So so basically the less expensive one is 1,400 wipes. The more expensive one is 3,000 wipes. Oh, and I got to do the cost per unit. So I got to multiply this thing out again times 20. And this one here is times another 50. So the 20 case one ends up being 10 cents a wipe. And the 50 case one ends up being 7 cents a wipe.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Thank you.
Still not cheap.
No, but well worth it. Any other questions on the sheet, Jim?
Jim, I think we had a conversation earlier today. You raised something that I did not add to my list, and it was perfect. Oh no, you did that by email. Was it you or is it Jamie?
I'm not sure.
Well,
What
the
was the-
conversation we had was about the enrollment. And you covered the two things I had left over from the previous meeting, which was the collection, the money from the hockey boosters, and where the Medicaid was at.
Yeah. Anyways, one of the two of you brought up a really good point, and I need to add that to this spreadsheet. I'll go find my note.
Okay.
Yeah, we would certainly like to know what good point we made.
Especially because neither one of us can remember.
I know.
Remember it.
It's probably in the minutes somewhere, but I'm not recalling it.
So if you go back to your agenda, there's several more items.
Yep.
All right.
So let me just for the public's sake, for manifest questions, one of the things that I do is I ask a lot of questions, and when the manifest comes through, I have specific questions that I ask, and some of the carry forwards that we've had, and hopefully some of this data will be available just from the budget data that Matt pulled in. But one was membership dues and annual costs. So I'm looking for what are we paying out in terms of dues, membership dues and costs across the board for the district. I think that'd be helpful information for me to understand. And the other is subscriptions, annual cost and usage. So we spend an awful lot of money on both online subscriptions and print subscriptions. And I'm trying to understand exactly what do we spend on what types and with what usage. I'm trying to understand, are we spending good deals of money on online subscriptions that are getting very little usage? And then what are we spending that money on, so I can understand what it is that we are paying for. So Matt in the past has given me a list. And then I've pushed for and had discussions about, I'd like to see the usage, because that, to me, that's a crux. So I know there's been a lot going on, and I don't think the usage information is yet available, but I want to keep that on the list until we get that data set. Matt, did you have anything in particular on those first two items before I hit the other?
Nope.
All right, we'll drop down to the others. And then people can see kind of what we're looking for. So classes, how many in the classes? Credit cards, we're spending money on headsets. What are we covering with the headsets? And why are we spending that expenses? They're the kind of things that somebody going through due diligence on a manifest would be asking questions on, and then Matt responds. With 5 minutes left in the meeting, Matt, I probably won't step through all of these because we wouldn't get through all of them. But folks can see that there's quite a few of them, and Matt's giving us the information on that. Go ahead, Matt. Any particulars you want to review?
Yeah, there's the workstation. It needs to be added to my COVID costs.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so we had to buy some workstations for employees because there's so many people going by them all the time. And so basically this is like a cubicle that has glass.
Yeah, so we should absolutely be picking that up.
Yep.
This is this one here. And you can see here's the manifest. That was about $9,700. Any other specifics that stand out at you? So that one of the ones on the lease dispute, I just like to know, and if that has to be done in non-public, that's fine. We can schedule that next time. Is what was the lease dispute and how did we resolve it?
Yeah, non-public.
Okay.
So on page there's just below the workstations. There's one for Dell Marketing.
Yes.
4,000. That's on that $117,000 grant. We're going to shift that now to the $256,000 grant to consume that up, and then we're going to use that $117,000 later in the year.
Yeah. So again, to help clarify, Matt has the ability to move grant spending from one grant to the other in this particular situation. That allows us to meet deadlines for the full spending that is in front of us and preserve the ability to get more grant money in the spring for future spending. And if he did not make the moves of those adjustments, we'd be locked out of that additional grant money. So thank you for identifying those opportunities, Matt, and shifting things around.
You had a great question about tuition.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Second to last one. The RSA.
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We're responsible for tuition. And I can't really read into it any farther than that because it's special education. There's like a Chinese wall between me and special education.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll go through it as always and get back with any help, but I just for public edification, we do spend time on our manifests, and Matt does put in a lot of time working with all the members of the committee and the board and trying to answer questions and making sure that we are prudently working on the spending and understanding where we're spending and why we're spending and just educating board members also, myself included in particularly, as to where the dollars are going and why. Jim, did you have any questions on these?
Yeah, I had sent in 11 questions on Manifest 8, and I'm just wondering.
I did not see that.
Okay.
I will jump on that and make sure it gets added to this list.
Okay.
Yeah, just if you could copy me on that also, Jim, please.
Yep, I think I did, but I'll resend it to you.
Yeah, that way I can find it.
I'm sorry. I had my blinders on in the last 2 weeks. I just been thinking only budget.
Yep.
Understandable.
So, yeah. I see your questions.
Okay, we're about wrapped up here at 4:30. Jim, anything that we missed? Anything that we should be adding to the agenda for the next meeting, other than the 11?
No, I'm good for now. I think we covered quite a bit.
Matt, how about you?
I'm all set.
Okay, then we will wrap up the meeting. We have coming at us this evening, I guess, 6 o'clock. We'll be getting into the actual board meeting. We'll be having some discussions on the budget that Matt has been referencing, has been consuming all of his time, and rightfully so. That's where all the money is, and Matt has been nose to the grindstone getting that out for us. Okay, so with that, we will wrap it up and we'll adjourn the meeting. And thank you both. We'll be talking to you in just an hour or so.